Should be stopping number 4 tonight. Is what is going on in white families? Where are the fathers? This takes us to YouTube. Let me share the link. You guys, we'll watch it and then we'll, discuss.
Teenager in a pond in. A white 14-year-old boy is out on bail after prosecutors say he tried to drown a black teenager in a pond in Chatham. And as WBZ's Louisa Moeller tells us, today in court, we learned this isn't the only racially motivated accusation against him.
You can see 14-year-old John Sheeran leaving court after his bail hearing, briskly walking and barely saying a word as he got into a car with his father. A judge said he can live in Chatham on a GPS device.
Mr. Sheeran, do you want to...
This all stems from an incident in July where a 15-year-old black boy says Sheeran texted him to come to a Chatham pond. Then Sheeran and another boy allegedly threw rocks at this boy and asked him to come into the water. The young man does not know how to swim and wore a life jacket. That's when investigators say Sheeran repeatedly pulled him under the water, once called him the N-word, and another boy called him George Floyd.
This young man, Jack Sheeran, held onto his life jacket and pulled me under the water and back and up and back repeatedly about 4 to 5 times. While doing it, water went into the victim's mouth and nose and he could not breathe. He started to shout, "I can't breathe," over and over again and tried to get Mr. Sheeran's hands off him. Mr. Sheeran let go and the other child started laughing. He called him George Floyd.
The boys allegedly did stop when another child on the beach swam over to intervene. Sheeran's defense attorney, Kevin Reddington, says it was reckless teenage behavior, not attempted murder.
This young man has absolutely no intent to murder his friend.
Is your client remorseful?
Of course, absolutely.
All of these details were heard in court as community members listened, and some of them say what resulted was not justice.
This young man was lucky. He didn't lose his life. But someone attempted to do that. Why would you hold somebody down knowing he's saying, "I can't breathe"? He feared for his life.
Hours after the July incident, the prosecutor says that Sheeran punched a 13-year-old Asian boy in the face after that boy called him fat. Attorney Reddington says that his client apologized to that boy's family and they declined to press charges. In Barnstable, Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
I hope you guys could have heard that well. I just realized my mic was open during that time, but I didn't see anyone say anything, so I guess you guys could have heard it. Not surprised by that story, but I kind of like the prompt. What is going on in white families? Where are the fathers? RBG, what say you to this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Did you know that black fathers are more likely to stay in their children's lives than any other group of people? Did you know that? White fathers are more likely to not be involved with their children's lives. You know what I'm saying? Just simple statistics. But this definitely, this dude looks like he has some evil intent. He looks like he definitely has the build for evil intention. Look at that triple chin there. Look at that well-developedness. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew what he was going to do. He was going to just like skate on what he was going to do. He was going to do what he was going to do. And you know what I'm saying? If our people did not keep fighting and just make attention, I mean, Lord knows. I mean, I can't breathe. I mean, how howling, I don't know how far away he was from anyone else. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, they need to waterboard him and show him what that's like to not be able to breathe. They need look, man. It's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? You gotta deal. If you're young, you gotta like deal with that. That's ugh. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's not just him. What about the trial for the other person? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? There was 2 people, he said. Yeah, go ahead and let him. I mean, the problem is like he looks like he's probably a juvenile. So even if he were, he had to do jail time, he would be out at 18. You know what I'm saying? Probably didn't have some probation. So it's like, look, I would, you know what I'm saying? He's talking about George Floyd. This is some adult stuff. This, you know what I'm saying? This like, you know what I'm saying? This is some level stuff where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Ideally, you know what I'm saying? You sit him down for about, you know what I'm saying? 6 to 7 on some attempted shit. No, that's all I got to say.
Sorry. I always wonder, who are these lawyers that represent these black folks in these cases? Who are these people? How come they don't bring up certain things? Like, this kid mentioned George Floyd. That takes away a level of innocence there. Like, who are the people who be representing these black folks and taking these losses all the time? If you know something with Benjamin, these guys take losses all the time. Losses or payoff. Like, who are these people? You know? Anyway, in the chat, Trigger Happy 262 said, this is Indo-European culture, nothing else to say. KW7 says, you are not supposed to be hanging around Urugu by yourself. The black parents are living in La La Land. I agree with that too. I mean, at this point, black folks still don't know. You don't have yourself, you know, yourself as an adult around these people, much less your children. Blacks, Buana, what say you to all of it?
Let me first say, I hope RBG has 100 children. I hope he has 100 children. You know, I remember we did a prompt last week where a black teacher was attributing nefarious characteristics onto a black child. So this shows when RBG say, look at his chin, you know, that interview, he look at this child how he should be looked at. You know, he criminalize him. Yeah, criminalize it. This is the proper perspective for individuals to have. You know, his biases came in, and this is the biases that you need to have. You know, maybe that teacher should have been married to RBG. You know, to influence her a little bit. You know, because this is the way how you supposed to attribute the character. Because this guy was able to get out of the courtroom, and I think that his probation was house arrest. House arrest. No. These little white criminals, young criminals. Are we gonna criminalize them? He was once in that same kindergarten when the teacher was looking at him and said, "No, I'm not gonna look at him. I'm gonna look at the black boy. I'm gonna look at the black boy instead of looking at him." And then 10 years later, he's drowning a guy, calling him a black little child, calling him George Floyd, who was more likely to commit the crime. So his perspective is right on target, you know. And I think that sometimes we forget that RBG wasn't on remote control, or if he was on the kind of remote control I appreciate. You know, where's his father? His father was right in the car with him. His father was cloaking him, protecting him. God knows how much money he had to bribe the lawyers and the judges in terms of him getting house arrest for attempted murder. Probably he didn't even have to pay a lot of money because it was just a black child. And as you all were saying earlier, black children are vulnerable. Why did his parents permit him to go out on by himself on some excursion to play with a bunch of white kids? Just willy-nilly like that. What do they think? They think it's a free world? No. You question that. Well, who are you going to play with? Why are you going down there? Oh, I need to come with you. I need to come go with you. You know, because anything can happen. These people are notorious. They are notorious with notorious intent. You know, you don't just let your child go. I'm about to go with my friends to the lake. With who? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. You know, so where are the fathers? Where is the black father in this scenario? You know, the white father, he probably, you know, told the child to call the boy, you know, but the black father would have said, hell no, you don't going down there with RBG would have said, hell no, you don't going down there with them. No, with them. No. You staying right here. Go read something. Go read something and tell me what you read inside of it. So as we discussed before earlier, in terms of being on remote control, this is the kind of remote control that I encourage in terms of how RBG looked at the scenario and situation, because these little white kids are cut from the cloth of their own fathers and the societies they live in. He looked like Trump. He looked like a young version of Trump. So the only thing I would say is the parents, in terms of the black parents, fathers in particular, need to get in hand to these kinds of situations. And we don't live in a free world. Despite what the Western world says, there's no free world that we currently reside in. And you must protect your children because they are most vulnerable, in particular black children. I'll leave it there.
Thank you for that, Buana. In the chat, Erzuliism is out there. He said, I bet you they voted for Biden and Kamala. Why don't you come up, Erzuli? Erzuli be hiding in the chat, I noticed. Not saying nothing behind the scenes. KW7 said, Benjamin Crump is not there to prosecute Urugu. He's there to secure the buy. Yeah, absolutely. I forget the other guy who's kind of associated with him, another black guy with locks. Forgot his name. But these guys, who are these guys? Who are these guys? Who are these people who keep losing these cases in court? I mean, I know I know the shit is rigged, but like, where's the real fight in these cases? I'm kind of uncertain. Afro-Native World says this there rites of passage. Yeah, kill a black person. Last but not least, let's get to Black Steel. Black Steel, what say you?
So, like to Buana's point, yeah, the father was right there in the home. He probably learned it from him. So I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. So my son was in Boy Scouts when he was in 3rd grade. And I went with him to every scout meeting. He wanted to learn how to make a tent and campfires, all that other stuff. So I went with him. We were in the classroom. It was at a local church. So we're in Boy Scouts, and me and him are just sitting next to each other. So the scout leader starts talking about respect. And he says, there are some cultures that show respect by bowing. And he asked the kids in the class, he said, can you tell me some cultures that show respect by bowing? And this little white boy, I never forget it. He jumped up. He said, "Ooh, ooh, ooh! I know, Ching Chong Chinese." And he does his eyes with a slant and everything. So his father's just looking there all horrified, like he can't believe his son did that. But that boy didn't learn that from the thin air. So I say that story to say that white people, Yurugu, they teach their children racism. It's a cultural thing. It is something that they teach their children at a very young age. This young man, he tried to drown a black boy. He punched an Indian boy in the face. This white boy could be the next the actor Mark Wahlberg, who grew up in the Massachusetts, I think Boston area. So during his youth, Mark Wahlberg was very racist. He beat an South Indian man so badly he lost his eye. He used to throw rocks at black children during the time they were integrating the schools. He did a little time in prison. Now he comes out and he's Mark Wahlberg. Now he's the famous actor. I never forget how racist he was. But yeah, these children, these white children are being taught to hate other people. It's something that's so deeply ingrained within their culture. As far as the attorneys, I agree also about letting black children play with white children. And I've played with white kids in the past, but it was always outside. I was never the only black kid there. I made sure I was never the only black child there. And as I got older, I just stopped really hanging out with them. But we have to prepare our kids. I mean, these white people are teaching their kids racism at an early age, but we're not teaching our children the ways to protect themselves. He should have never gotten it. I don't want to blame the victim, because this is not about him. He's an innocent victim. He should never have been. This never happened to him. But I think as a preventative measure, we have to understand that we are hated in this world. And I think it was Dr. Bobby, you're right. He said we've been in this country for 400 years, and we still don't know how it works. And I think that's very true. So yeah, his father was right there with him. His father probably taught him that hate. He probably grew up listening the way his father felt about black people, about different races, and he just merely acted it out. And I think I just want to highlight the fact this boy was being charged with attempted murder, and he was able to go home. And I remember the young man, Khalif Browder in New York, who was accused of stealing a backpack. And he spent 3 years in Rikers Island. 2 of those years were in solitary confinement. And when they finally released him, based off of no evidence, he killed himself because of what he had went through and the psychological torture he had experienced in prison. So I just also want to highlight that these white people can try to kill you and they get to go home to their parents. We have to always keep our guard up. I'll leave it there, Coach. Thank you.
Anybody else want to add any last thoughts here? All right. Good discussion. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 5.